What's going on, you loyal listeners? Thank you for tuning in to the L Squared Podcast. I'm your host here, Luke Larson, and joining me today, telephonically, using technology, is my lovely and loquacious special guest, Old Legs.
What's going on? We are not dating. We are in a taste relationship. That was a Velvet Buzzsaw.
Oh God! Why did we bring that up? I can't believe I add an emphasis to that.
That is our topic for this week. In light of the Oscars, we are going to be talking
instead of that
solely about Velvet Buzzsaw.
Oh man, just a deep dive.
Deep into the psyche of Morph.
We're gonna start with a full audio commentary of the whole film.
Full frontal.
A full frontal. We're both gonna be in the nude, and then after that's over, then we'll kind of dive into our thoughts, which will probably be another 3.5 hours after that.
Yeah, it's gonna be slightly longer than the runtime of the Oscars. So if you're looking for a third screen, a second hearing, just pop this on. Just
there you go.
We're gonna give you our Velvet Buzzsaw thoughts, and it's gonna be a banger. I can't wait.
Wait, what? Wait, no, we said Velvet Buzzsaw.
Buzzsaw.
No, that's what we. No one cares about the Oscars. Why don't we talk about that?
Right. We have our pulse.
I'm getting word here that this episode isn't going to be about Velvet Buzzsaw, and then it's actually going to be about the 2019 Oscars.
I had here in the show notes, open with Velvet Buzzsaw, briefly mention the Oscars, then go back into Velvet Buzzsaw. So
right after that. Okay.
So
perfect.
I mentioned it, and now we're back, right?
Yeah. We'll cut all that out. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. We got our Oscar show. Woo!
Woo! Oh, wait. We got to get the audience into it. Yeah, there they go. They're excited.
Yeah. So, that's actually a good segue. Excitement. Are you excited for the Oscars?
I'm about as excited as I get every year for the Oscars. So,
which is, that didn't answer the question, but
I could be a lawyer or a politician or both. Every year it's something that I know I'm gonna watch, and that's about the level of excitement I have for them. I like the idea of it, and this is like us as movie fans. This is supposed to be our big event, and it's supposed to be celebrating Hollywood, and it's supposed to be to celebrate the best films of last year. And has it ever really been that since its inception?
It is truly an up and down experience. I would say 2 years ago with the Kimmel Best Picture shenanigans that went on, that was everyone from La La Land is up on the stage, and then they say it wrong. Moonlight, they got it right. It was like, wow, holy shit! Like this is it. They're turning the corner. They figured it out. Yeah. And then next year, it's The Shape of Water.
Yeah, that was everybody's favorite movie from last year, obviously.
Correct. I've been thinking about fish sex just ever since. Just I can't get it out of my brain.
And Michael Shannon's toe or thumb.
Oh gosh, what an incredible film.
Yeah.
So this is another interesting year, and I use caveats with interesting. I'm not really sure what is all the controversy and news stories and fake news stories and the production of this show, is all this just being drummed up to really hype the experience and get viewers, or what are we doing here?
I think that's probably that's what's happened as a result of this controversy. I don't know if the controversy was put in place for that, because if you guys aren't aware, we don't need to get into details because it's been everywhere, and I'm sure you've heard about it. But Kevin Hart was initially pegged as the host of the Oscars this year, and then basically some tweets had come up about old jokes of his from 8-9 years ago, and they had some homophobic things in there, so they kind of decided to not have him host. And then they were kind of looking for hosts after that, and then they just decided not to go with a host. So they're
and when we say that we're not actually going to get into the details, that's because I don't know, I'm not going to speak for you here, but I don't know the details. We were talking about this again in our weekly production meeting. I didn't even take the time to read the headline of why
yeah.
And again, this is a very millennial thing. Like, no one reads the full article anymore. I didn't even get through the headline.
Yeah, old legs took it one step further.
Kevin Hart not hosting the as I have no idea, no clue what happened. Does it matter?
Not to me. I mean, it doesn't. I don't really care. I mean, I like the last 2 years Jimmy Kimmel's hosted, and I thought he's done a really good job. I thought he did a fantastic job the first year, and unfortunately that's going to be remembered as him having that moment, the Oscars having that moment of giving it to La La Land and then giving it to Moonlight.
Which was iconic.
It was iconic.
It was iconic, and it was maybe one of their best moments
ever. Yeah,
you're just talking
honestly.
About a show where they got it right.
Yeah, and
they did it in this really cinematic fashion where it's this holy shit kind of thing, and I don't know. Again, yeah, you're right. We shouldn't really dwell too much on this, especially with how much there is to get through. Yep. Again, this is a 3-hour show, and we're gonna really flesh it out here. So if we make it under 6,
it's we're cutting corners at that point,
including some of our musical performances we have lined up.
We have lined up, yeah.
But not to say that the Oscars are bad, because I'll let you expand on this as well, but I do think as just an archival nature, as a good way to look back at the year, it is extremely valuable, just as a snapshot for what mattered or what was included, what wasn't included, because it's one of those things that I'm constantly going back and referencing, even if I don't really agree with the outcome. So that's where I stand as just a historical reference. It's still important for me.
Yep, I totally agree, and that's kind of what I look for too. And it is, and in that instance, that's when the Oscars is necessary, and there needs to be a list like this. Well, not just a list, but just like you said, to archive, kind of capture this moment in time. And part of capturing a moment in time, and we do a version of it in our top 10 of the year, which we just did, which you guys should check out if you haven't already. But part of the fun of that and part of the intrigue of it is that it's supposed to capture this moment in time right now. So this is before these films have had time to age, and we don't really know at this point. We honestly don't really know what is the best film or what's going to hold up the best in the next couple of years. And sometimes the Oscars gets it right, but most of the time they don't. And some of that's the fun, because when you look back in time, you think, who was nominated for Best Picture in 2003? Man, I haven't even heard of 4 of these movies, but I can think of 2 or 3 off the top of my head that are great movies that came from that year that we still talk about. So it's necessary and it's important, and you just kind of have to know that they're probably going to get it wrong more often than they're going to get it right. And we won't really I don't think we'll really know what the right picks are until, years down the road, which is it makes it kind of compelling in that aspect of it. But
yes, and one more caveat. So I don't. One of the things we also talked about here in doing this podcast, we already did our favorite films of the year, and so if you want to know what we thought was important and influential to us, go check that out, because a lot of those films won't be represented here for this reason or that. But again, I'll be completely honest here. If I haven't seen a film, I'm not going to talk lowly of it. And there are quite a few films, especially in Best Picture here, where I haven't seen them. Some of them I might get around to seeing eventually, but I'm not going to just shit on something if I haven't seen it and I haven't given it the time of day, even though it's incredibly tempting, especially with some of the stuff coming up here with some of these categories. So with that little caveat, if I haven't seen something, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna either defer to you if you've seen it, or I'm just gonna say what I think will win and why.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we want to come at it. We don't give you the bullshit. You can read online what everyone thinks and right. Go with the consensus group think if you want to. But
yeah, and this show isn't going to be about, like you said, this isn't going to be about who we think should win or who we want to win, because we did our list of the movies that we enjoyed from the year. So this is just going to be a more of, honestly, what the best odds are of what's going to win, and
right.
And who we actually think. And then next week we're planning on, I'm holding it to it, I'm throwing our hat over the wall. We're planning on doing the show next week to kind of go over how good we did and how close we got, and kind of recap it from there. So, and
how wrong Luke was about
absolutely everything.
Which,
we have plenty of evidence of that in previous shows if you want to look back at that too. So
yeah. So without further ado, are you ready to get into this bad boy?
Yeah. So kind of the format of what we were going to do is we were going to go through the categories and go through the nominees and just kind of go in reverse order. And these first couple that we're going to go over, we haven't seen these movies. These movies, at least most of them, they don't get as wide of a release and they're not as well known. But we're not going to spend a lot of time on them. Because it's just a crapshoot at this point. Like, it's really anyone's game. But the first category we have on deck here is Best Documentary Short. So we have 5 films nominated. Black Sheep, Endgame, Lifeboat, A Night at the Garden, Period, End of Sentence. And that's it. So, have you seen any of these movies? Yeah, exactly.
I haven't seen any.
I haven't seen any,
but in some of my reading and prep for this podcast, that these films are actually relatively available, which is a surprise to me, because I've also looked at this. I'm intrigued because I watch a lot of documentaries, but I don't necessarily see many or if any of these shorts. So I might go ahead and maybe check out 1 or 2 of these, just kind of, depending on where I'm at, my mood and whatnot. But no, I haven't seen any of these, and I don't have any odds up here. So this one is definitely just a shot in the dark.
No one has any idea. What I will say is I saw one documentary short, at least one at the South Dakota Film Festival, called Beneath the Ink, that is on YouTube. It's like a 12-minute little mini documentary, and that was really, really good. I was hoping that would get an Oscar nom, but it didn't. But for sure, I can tell you, check out Beneath the Ink on YouTube, and that's our plug. That's our one plug.
The big question for this category is: will any of these films compare to last year's winner, Kobe Bryant's film, Dear Basketball?
No.
Which is something that I actually did watch, because I was so just appalled by the fact that I do not recommend Dear Basketball to anyone. And sorry, Kobe. You are not a worthy Oscar winner.
Wow.
So,
shots fired.
Yeah.
Great. Now
yeah.
Kobe's never going to do the show, man.
Yeah. I'd love to hear his takes on just film and the industry in general.
How much it's really shaped him as a person.
Right. Yeah. All that work he did.
Yep.
To get where he is now.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Incredible.
Moving on.
Yeah. So the next category is Best Live Action Short. So again, there's 5 nominees. We have Detainment, Fauve, Marguerite, Mother, and Skin.
We'll start here. Live action short. So, what's your pick?
Oh man,
And this is just for the sake of scoring.
Yeah.
Because,
I'm just gonna throw up Skin.
all right.
I have no idea what any of these are about. Either Skin or Marguerite, but for some reason I'm just going for Skin.
Cool. I'll take Mother. This was the this is a film starring Jennifer Lawrence. It's
I don't think
that's not
the
it?
same. No.
Okay.
This is no exclamation point. Just regular old Mother.
Damn. All right. I thought I was on one. I thought I'd seen one.
No
All
Darren
right.
Aronofsky here. No.
No Aaron. Well, yeah. I couldn't even understand that it wasn't even the film in the right category. That's how stupid I am.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, all right. What do we got next?
Are you making a pick for that? Are you just sticking with Mother,
Mother.
even though it's not the same Mother?
Straight up.
Okay.
Straight up.
All right, that's fine.
Mother with no exclamation.
With no, just take that one right off.
Regular old Mother.
Little less of an exclamation. For Best Live Action Short, from the South Dakota Film Festival, I'm going to give love to Willow Creek Road again. Loved it. Jenna Sorali. I would have loved to see that get an Oscar nom, and that one was really, really incredible.
Hey,
so,
you know what they say? Just because it didn't get nominated
doesn't mean it can't win. Yep.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
Next, we're pulling for you, Jenna. So the next category is Best Animated Short. Again, we have 5 on here. So we have Animal.
This is going to be a Pixar movie, right?
I don't think there is a Pixar movie nominated, but
There's got to be a Pixar in here.
So we have Animal Behavior, Bow, Late Afternoon, One Small Step, and Weekends. So I have actually seen one of these movies.
Okay.
Weekends was at the South Dakota Film Festival, so I did see that. And it was good. It was really good. There wasn't any dialogue. It was all just animation and sound, and that one I really, really liked. So without knowing anything else about any of the other movies, I've heard some buzz about Weekends, honestly, and I haven't really heard much about the other one. So my pick is going to be Weekends. I hope it does it.
All right. And so here we go. This is what, did you say, is it Bao?
Yeah, I think I said Bow, but I don't really know how to say it.
Bao? Okay, so I'm doing research as we're going. This is a live show, and Bao is made by Pixar, so that is my pick.
Damn, fuck, you're right.
The Pixar film always wins. This is why I'm going to win this little.
Yeah, you're already ahead.
This little exercise here, so I'm feeling good about that. Haven't seen it, but again,
doesn't matter.
There we go.
Okay, so you're already ahead.
Yep.
So the next category is Best Film Editing. Now, this is an interesting category. I think this is more for people like us, a little bit more in the...
this actually gets into films that we've seen, right?
Yes, absolutely. And
okay,
this is a category that's kind of hard to judge against other ones, but this is one of the more technical awards, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It is kind of hard to judge against other films, but hey, here we go. So we have Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Green Book, and Vice.
Okay.
So my pick would be Vice.
Okay. Interesting.
Because the editing in that really stood out more than the other films that I've seen on the list.
Okay. So I have a question for you, since I didn't see this movie, but I kind of know what you're talking about, because that Adam McKay type.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of isn't it an extension of the thing we saw with The Big Short, where it's that kind
100%.
of slam cutting.
Yep. And fourth wall breaking, and it wasn't as much, but it was still there. It was still prevalent. So
I'm into that, and it's noticeable, and it made, and I'm referencing The Big Short here, but it made a film about the housing crisis really interesting to look at.
Yeah,
which
for sure.
I think is a feat in itself, and
Yep.
I know through just like reading and whatnot that this is kind of a style that's he's adopted in this and other things that he's done, and I like that. I like that pick. I'm going with you on this one.
Boom.
So we're
first unanimous.
We're unanimous on film editing. Yeah.
Are there odds for this one?
Don't see any. No.
Okay.
No odds for film editing yet.
Okay.
But I could see, so just to be a contrarian, I could see The Favorite just being the kind of the very technical art housey thing.
Yeah, because it's the period piece, and
it's gonna win stuff. I will.
No doubt about it.
One of my predictions is The Favorite is going to win multiple awards. It's just going to be kind of a matter of where they come. I know. So,
okay.
yeah.
So we're unanimous
I like
on Vice. So now we're going to get to Best Visual Effects. And the nominees are Avengers Infinity War, Christopher Robin, First Man, Ready Player One, Solo, A Star Wars Story.
Okay, so I can tell you what's not going to win, and that's Christopher Robin.
Yep.
Easy. But I always make these wild things where I'm gonna eat something. I'm trying to think of something wild I could eat if Christopher Robin wins this.
Let's say, I don't know, a sardine.
Perfect. Yeah, I was gonna go with maybe just the gym socks that I just threw in the hamper. I'll leave them out. I won't wash them.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. This one's Thanos, right?
Yeah, I could see that. I could also see First Man because it's an astronaut movie, and those type of space movies and war movies tend to win some of those more technical awards at the Oscars. I think just because the sound mixing and the visual effects are just more upfront, but it's also a realistic story. So if you're thinking old white dudes over the age of 60, they're probably going to pick First Man. So I'm kind of leaning that way. Okay.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I haven't made my official pick yet.
I'm just going Thanos because if the Academy knows one thing, it's not to piss off Thanos, and that's he's
true.
Gone through enough.
Yep, that's true.
He's like an angsty teenage girl, from what I understand, and he's petty enough to basically SpongeBob eradicate the SpongeBob meme. I think that was my favorite part about the Avengers, whatever this one was, the Infinity War.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm really good at this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was my very favorite part about that film. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But
we know.
if I'm just if I'm just going off of what has the most visual effects and what film dumped the most money into having the most visual effects, it's got to be Thanos, right?
Well, Ready Player One was almost all CGI, but it didn't look good to me. I mean, I haven't seen it, but just the trailers, I really didn't like it. So I see what you're saying, and I think Avengers could easily win, but just for some, I think... I don't know.
You want a little first man.
Yeah, like that's kind of my dark horse here, you know? I think... I just feel like that might have a good shot, but...
Okay. I like that. I'm sticking with Avengers, but I like that pick.
Okay. So then this brings us to Best Production Design. We have Black Panther.
This is favorite, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, sorry, I'm not going to step on you here, but...
No, the favorite is the favorite, but I'll just go through them. So we have Black Panther, The Favorite, First Man, Mary Poppins Returns, and Roma. So I think Roma might be your dark horse here, but these are the type of awards that the favorite should sweep, honestly.
Yeah, and this is where, like I was saying earlier, the favorite's going to win a couple awards, and this is almost feels like a slam dunk to me. I'm not going to say
for sure.
But yeah, if it looks like Barry Lyndon and it's and people love it like it's Barry Lyndon, then it's probably just it is Barry Lyndon.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make
it wasn't
any sense?
The favorite. It's Barry Lyndon now.
Is that it?
Yeah. I mean, we'll just move on before it, because I think it'll gradually make less sense with time. So
okay.
So that was an easy one.
I tried.
Now we have Best Sound Editing, which we have Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, First Man, A Quiet Place, and Roma. So this one, again, is kind of tough. This one is sort of with... I think First Man has a good shot at this one as well. But, I mean... You know...
So I just railed on... Maybe you were just about to say this, but I just made a big stink about how best visual effects should just go to the movie with the most fucking visual effects.
Yeah.
But does A Quiet Place have something going here? Just being... It's a film that's about not speaking, but it's also... I don't know. Is this...
I think...
Am I crazy
here?
No.
I think that First Man is the traditional pick for this, but A Quiet Place has the most obvious sound editing of any of these, because sound and silence, it has such a big part to play in that film that it's definitely the most showy sound editing of any of these. So, I mean, if there's... So, it's tough. I mean, for me personally, I think it's between First Man and A Quiet Place. And honestly...
I agree.
A Quiet Place...
This is the type of award that, like, Dunkirk would win. Or did it win? Right?
It honestly might have won, yeah.
It just feels, it feels like one of those...
Yeah, and I think that, what was the... Hamburger Hill. What was the movie that Mel Gibson directed with Spider-Man a couple years ago?
Oh, man.
Hacksaw Ridge. Hacksaw Ridge, yeah.
Yeah.
That one, best sound editing, I think. Or sound mixing, or both, or whatever, yeah.
He just booted that grenade. It was just a...
Boom!
Sent it straight through the uprights. No Cody Parkey. That was a...
It's just... Man... Yeah.
That was a no-doubter.
Yep.
Wow. I didn't think we were going to talk about Hacksaw Ridge here.
Yeah, that's what I bring to the table.
Good pull.
Thanks.
Good pull.
So, I don't know. What do we think? What's our pick for this?
I'll go A Quiet Place.
Yeah, I think...
I don't hate it.
I don't either. I think that if Quiet Place was going to win an Oscar, this is the one it should win.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't know. Is it nominated anywhere else?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out. If this is its only nomination, I suddenly like it a lot more.
Yeah.
Than if not, because there might be a couple other spots where First Man could get sprinkled in here.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Yeah, no, good. Are you going? What are you going with there?
You know what? I'm gonna go with A Quiet Place too.
Okay. All right. So we got a consensus there as well.
Yeah. Does Vegas have any odds on that or not?
Shoot, I need to be.
Yeah, I just wish.
All right. Okay. So yeah. So First Man is the favorite, and A Quiet Place is pretty close behind that.
Yep.
First Man's at -250, which is a pretty decent favorite there, and A Quiet Place is +350. So if you want to make a little money, put it down on A Quiet Place. If you're looking for favorites, First Man's pretty solid there, but not an overwhelming favorite. We'll get to some overwhelming favorites later.
Pretty soon.
That's definitely not one of them.
So now this is going to be the category that people get confused with best sound editing, but it's best sound mixing. So we have Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, First Man, Roma, and A Star Is Born. So as far as sound mixing goes, I think the First Man is going to take this one, but this might be, I think A Star Is Born has the opportunity to scoop up a couple of these too. So I think A Star Is Born has a shot at this, maybe Bohemian Rhapsody, but I think this is First Man, hands down.
Okay. So I get where you're coming there. The mixing versus editing is that's a great very in the weeds category that I think the Academy was looking to cut.
Yep. Yeah,
like,
I think they were.
We're gonna keep one.
Yep.
But not both.
Yeah.
And I see. Yeah. I get this weird sense that A Star Is Born is really not gonna have a good night, and that's crazy because I thought for sure with all the hype that it had this summer and all the just being an absolute tour de force that it would win everything, but I don't know. And man, if it doesn't win like a category like this, like what's...
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, the reason I say First Man is just because all the technical aspects of it and the Academy's history of giving war movies and astronaut movies awards in movies these categories with big sounds,
fucking things making
big explosions,
sound, big rocket shit.
Exactly. It's because they're like they mix the shit out of that. You heard an explosion on an explosion on an explosion.
Yeah, that's you got a point there. This is one of those like kind of pity votes right here, but I'm gonna go A Star Is Born.
Wow, okay.
Just to get one out there because I don't know. It could be a slow night for my boy Bradley Cooper, but
because I mean that movie did have a lot of sound mixing. It had a lot of mixing in audio from like the live concerts, which was a lot different, and the music from that, and then the music like just when he hears a song on the radio, and then when they're singing in the parking lot and singing in studio, and it's all those sound effects have a bunch of different layers, which is what sound mixing is. So
it's a film about sound mixing, right?
It almost is, yeah. In a way, it kind of is. So, I mean,
again,
if
let's
they
just give it to the movie that has the most sound mixing.
Because I mean, if they had a category for best Boston accent, who's going to beat The Departed?
Yeah,
that's where I'm going to leave it.
That's another great point. Again, this is why we have you on the pod.
Exactly. There we go. So, that's how I got the keys.
So you're on First Man though, right?
Yeah, I haven't changed my stance.
Okay. First Man, Starborn for sound mixing, and again, I hope that the listeners, they have a clear understanding of what this category is now.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad we explained it so well. So
Yes,
what does Vegas think?
Oh, right. Sound mixing. All right. So we're a little bit off here. So Bohemian Rhapsody is a tight favorite.
Wow.
With the Starborn being at even money and First Man being plus 800.
Wow.
So if you know some dudes and you're like, this is something here. That plus 8, that's good money right there on First Man. So.
Well,
I guess we didn't take into account if you're mixing Freddie Mercury, then
into your sound.
That's a whole nother
That's
thing.
a whole nother mix. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That was our fault.
Because Allie, she's not a real person.
That's true.
Right.
That's very true. Yep.
And it takes a lot more. Oh, this is okay. So again, I don't know why we're on this, but it takes a lot more effort and skill to mix Rami Malek doing Freddie Mercury than it does to mix Lady Gaga, who is a real professional singer, as Allie, who is a fictional singer. So you have a fictional singer being mixed into a legendary singer in Freddie Mercury, and then that's hard to do, right? Am I getting this category?
No, I think that you're finding the best point that we've made so far, and we just completely overlooked it. But you're right. So
Bohemian is that's the favorite in this. So good. I don't want to be on all the favorites. So
yeah. Okay.
What do we got next?
So this one is best foreign language film. So this is one of our hipster categories. So if you really want to impress all your hipster friends, you're gonna have seen at least 2 of these. If not all 5.
Or you're going to at least have seen Roma, and that's...
At least Roma, which
probably,
we have.
That's probably the only film that the fucking Academy's seen out of these.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. So, I'll just, say what they are, but it's Capernaum, Cold War, Never Look Away, Roma, and Shoplifters. So I think Roma's probably the clear favorite, just because
I've heard of Cold War and Shoplifters, but yeah, this is. So I'm looking at the Vegas odds right now, and this is minus 2,000 for Roma. So this is one of those. So for people that aren't really familiar with betting odds and whatnot, so minus 2,000, that means that you have to bet $2,000 to win 100.
So it's not a good bet.
This is what you would call a sure thing. So if you have $2,000 just burning a hole in your pocket, and you're like, you know what? I see that. That's an investment. I want my $100. There you go. Easy enough,
there you go.
Right?
Turn that $2,000 into $2,100.
Yep. No, wrong. Turn it into $100.
Just 100 minus the 2,000.
Yeah. So. That's what that means, which means that there's no way in hell that Roma doesn't win this category.
Yeah.
So,
it doesn't happen a lot when you have a foreign language film that was as popular as Roma was this year. It just doesn't really happen that often. So,
right, or a foreign language film that's nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah, no. 100%.
So, yeah, this one's... It's clearly the winner. I don't think we really need to say anything more here.
Yeah, no.
I'm interested to see. I do want to see Cold War and Shoplifters. I haven't heard of the other 2, though.
Yeah, I haven't either.
So...
Okay, so the next category is Best Animated Feature. So we have Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Mirai, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So I kind of think this is an Incredibles versus Spider-Man race.
Okay.
And it's tough. I did see Spider-Man, and I loved it, and I didn't get to see Incredibles 2. So it's tough because I want to pick, obviously this show is about picking who we think is going to win. And Spider-Man is just kind of the new thing that's very popular and a lot of people talked about. Incredibles 2 came out, and it did well. It did very well, and it's a Pixar movie. But it didn't have the social impact that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse has kind of had. So that kind of tells me that Incredibles 2 will win, and everyone will talk about how Spider-Man should have won. So, and Incredibles 2 is Pixar. So I think this is where the Academy picks Incredibles 2 when they should have picked Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Well, yeah. I'm just gonna go Spider-Man just based solely off the fact that 5 minutes before this podcast you said that Nick Cage plays noir Spider-Man.
Dude, it's so good.
Into that, and I don't know why nobody told me about this.
I know. It would have made so much more money.
What the hell is going on?
Yeah. I didn't realize it till I was basically in the movie watching it. And I thought the same thing.
You think you know somebody, and then...
Yeah, I really dropped the ball on that one.
You're just betrayed. So, yeah. I like Spider-Man here.
Okay. What does Vegas think?
Vegas...
I would love that.
Wow.
I would love the Spider-Man one.
Yeah, Vegas likes Spider-Man too. This one's up there with Roma. This one's minus 1,500. So, Incredibles 2, you're right. Incredibles 2 is second behind at plus 900. So that's 9-1 odds. So, again, 9-1 meaning with a plus by it, meaning that $100 wins you 900. So that is a plus return right there. So if you got a feeling, that's where the money is at. But,
that's tough.
Again,
well, I mean, what was freaking La La Land? What odds did that have for Best Picture? And that didn't win.
It was close.
Was it really close? Than we thought it was going to be.
That week before, it wasn't like Meryl Streep levels of should the other four ladies even show up type. Yeah. But it was in there. It was, I wish I had those odds in front of me, but it wasn't crazy. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Man.
It's rare that you see, because I've been kind of doing this for a couple of years now, and it's really rare that those big favorites like that and Roma don't win.
Yeah.
The stuff where you see the upsets are just kind of those favorites that are only like minus 100, minus 200, something like that.
Well, so. I mean, if Vegas has that much confidence in Spider-Man, then I'm flipping. I'm getting over there. I'm going on that shit.
Okay.
I'm going Spider-Man.
All right. Spider-Man it is.
Okay. So now we have one of your favorite categories every year. Best documentary feature. And
Free Solo.
Yep. So that's the first that's the first film up. We have Free Solo, Hale County this evening, Minding the Gap, Of Fathers and Sons, RBG. So
interesting. No Mr. Rogers there.
No. Won't you be my neighbor? Yeah.
Huh.
So
I would have thought that would get the nod over RBG, because those were kind of the two trailblazing documentaries that saw fairly wide releases.
Yeah.
Like theatrical releases.
Yeah.
And did well.
Yeah, really well. Yep.
So that's...
I mean, but don't you say that every year there's a documentary feature that you love that doesn't win?
Dreams.
Right, Hoop Dreams.
It started with Hoop Dreams, and Hoop Dreams is one of the greatest documentaries ever made, and it was not even nominated. So this is... This is a running joke.
Yeah.
where they're just like, fuck that movie. Like, just...
Yeah. Like Searching for Sugar Man didn't win, and Blackfish didn't win.
Yep.
And yeah.
Well, were those were nominated? Though,
they
right?
were nominated. Yeah, they at least gave them a little bit.
There's usually, not even usually. There's more or less the best documentary of the year isn't even nominated. So I do think they nailed it here. Free Solo,
because you had
Free Solo is something else.
Two of these movies made your top 10 list, right?
Yep. Free Solo, Minding the Gap. I did see Hale County. Hale County's good. It's just not very uplifting. And I didn't see it Fathers and Sons. I'm not really sure what that is. I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Yeah, I definitely haven't.
So, I think it's Free Solo. Just as a viewing experience, it's kind of like something you haven't ever seen. Minding the Gap is maybe a bit more... It might stick with you a little. It's a more humanizing story. There's more complex characters where it's more like a traditional humanitarian film that we probably see more or less every year.
And it's probably easier to connect with.
Sure. Yeah, the Free Solo thing is just bonkers. And no, we're not going to... This one I feel really good about.
Mm. Okay.
So let's see.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going Free Solo as well, just for the record.
Okay. Yeah. So this one's he's not a runaway. Free Solo is the favorite right now. It's only at -200 though. RBG is right behind it at +130.
Wow, interesting.
So, and everything else is pretty wild long shots. So. All right.
Okay. So our next category is Best Original Score. So we have Black Panther, Black Klansman, If Beale Street Could Talk, Isle of Dogs, Mary Poppins Returns. So even though it was kind of a disappointing film, Isle of Dogs did have a great original score, I thought. But I feel like this is one that Black Panther's going to win. I don't know why. Probably just because a lot was made. There was a lot of buzz about Kendrick being on there, and this was kind of the millennials movie of the year. And yeah, so I just feel like this is one where it's like, well, we'd like to give Black Panther an Oscar. People liked their score. It was modern, and we'll give it this one. That's kind of what I think, but... Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. There were a couple different scores, so this is maybe just me, but I do listen to scores from time to time, especially if I just kind of feel it coming out of the theaters. Two of them that stuck with me this year were Annihilation and Hereditary, and I listened to both of those quite a bit, and neither of those are here, so this is pretty much just a toss-up here. So I see what you're saying there, and I do see the Black Panther thing, and I think that's a pretty solid choice, so I kind of like that as well. Okay. So if we want to go hand in hand with that one as well. I like that. So what do we got? What do we got next?
No Vegas?
Oh, sorry. I'm slacking here. I'm trying to write all these down and also go kind of back and forth here. But
if only we had a producer. If only we had our fucking tech guy on here. This is what happens when he's fucking not here. He comes in one time, and then, fucking contract talks, and he just thinks he's owed a bunch of money up front. And it's like, dude, you did one show, man. Like, I have all my money tied up in old legs right now. I can't just be signing a bunch of talent,
So, okay, this is interesting. Vegas always knows. And what Vegas is saying is that if Beale Streets could talk, they would say that's where the money's at.
Really?
It's not a big favorite, but it's Beale Street, Black Panther, and then Mary Poppins. This one's a pretty close category. Your pick, Isle of Dogs, is way out there at 25-1.
Well, shit.
So again, hey, you wanna cash a check?
If it's
you go.
if it's
stick to your guns.
If it's that close, if it's that close, I feel fine sticking with Black Panther.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So that's that. And again, Vegas isn't always right. They were wrong about President Trump, and I lost a lot of money on that. So that's all we'll go into it there. But they have been proven wrong before, so don't always just go with the favorites. But hey, it's a good resource and it's fun.
All right.
If you.
So.
What are we on now?
This one, I already know what we're gonna pick. So, but we'll still go through it. Best original song. So we have All the Stars from Black Panther, I'll Fight, RBG, The Place Where Lost Things Go, Mary Poppins, Shallow, A Star Is Born, When a Cowboy Trades His Spurs for Wings, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I mean, this is shallow, man. There's no other pick here.
This is shallow. I was the Buster Scruggs thing. I just makes me cringe, but I just really did. I didn't have a good time with that film. But yeah you're right. This is shallow, and this is this the only win of the night? For B. Cooper?
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I think he's got a good shot at best actor, honestly.
Okay. But yeah, okay. We'll save all that. So
but we'll get to
the
it.
Categories. But you're right here. This is shallow.
Yeah.
Vegas says minus 3,000, so that's $3,000 to win 100.
Yeah.
So you got that, and then All the Stars is coming in at second at 7-1 odds. So everything else is not going to win, so we don't have to talk about them. But yeah, do you think what are the odds? Do you think if Shallow doesn't win, do Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga still perform?
Wow, that'd be interesting.
Would that not be one of the greatest troll jobs of all time?
I mean, I would hope that they would kind of do it a little bit downbeat.
If they want to make the show wildly entertaining, please give this award to All the Stars right before the performance.
That would be great.
Gosh.
That would be great.
Tell you what, that would be maybe the most like Vince McMahon like WWE heel turn moment you could have.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But yeah, I can't see that. May be the biggest shoe-in. Besides, it's either that or Roma for foreign language.
Yeah.
I think are the biggest favorites of the night. So. We both agree there.
Yeah. So our next category is Best Cinematography. We have The Favorite, Never Look Away, Roma, A Star Is Born, and Cold War. I think Roma's got this in the bag. I think, maybe The Favorite, but as far as just really showy cinematography, I think Roma's definitely got it. This category last year's Oscars stand out to me just because, one, Roger Deakins finally won an Oscar for Best Cinematography for Blade Runner. Totally deserved. And then Gary Oldman winning for Winston Churchill. Even though, what was it, The Darkest Hour Wasn't the best movie,
Yes.
but it was like Gary Oldman was overdue for an Oscar for a long time, so that's kind of what the Oscars does. But anyway, so best cinematography, my pick is Roma, hands down.
Yeah, you're going with the dog shit.
Yep, best use of dog shit, maybe ever.
Dog shit wins. Maybe.
Maybe.
We're not gonna dabble into hyperbole.
I mean,
here.
that's a show for another day.
Right, without doing the
The
research,
proper, what it really deserves.
That the listeners come to know from this show. Because if there's one thing that I think we are really truly known for
prep
now, it's
is all the prep we do.
We do the homework.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And we stick
That's
to
really
it.
what I mean. If you want a podcast where they do the most homework, you're gonna have a hard time finding somebody who does more than us. So.
Yeah, so we stick to our guns just like that dog shit sticks to the driveway.
Wow.
And
wow, that was
you know
good.
what? Hey, again. That's why I'm here.
We're finally figuring it out. We're figuring out where we belong. That's great.
Yeah, I'm here because I throw heat, high heat, baby, and it is Roma.
You're not lifting weights. You're not signing autographs.
Let's see here. Vegas agrees with us. This is another big favorite for Roma, so nothing to discuss
I think that's
there.
pretty easy. All right. So, the next category, and I think I know the winner for this too, but we'll still go through it. Best costume design. So, when I think of this category, I think of Barry
Lyndon.
Barry Lyndon. I think of the Grand Budapest Hotel. I think of those kind of movies that just easily won this. So, we have The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Black Panther, The Favorite, Mary Poppins Returns, Mary Queen of Scots. I think it's The Favorite.
You think it's The Favorite? Wow.
I know.
Really
okay.
going out on a limb here.
Yes, I know.
This is
Hot
The
take.
Favorite. Again, I'll eat the microphone in front of me if it's not. Again, this one's easy. It's the one that has the costumes that we don't see every day, and I guess you can make a case for a couple other ones here, but were the Black Panther costumes, were those all like real, or were they kind of CGI'd? Or it doesn't really make sense to me with some of like the.
No, you're right.
It's got like this kind of weird, it's like kind of Metal Gear Solid skin suit going on. It's like, I don't know. So it's The Favorite. So I think we need to dwell on that too much. But
does Vegas agree?
Yep. This one's another big favorite. So,
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I hate myself.
I fucking hate you too, man. So the next category is this one's I don't know, kind of interesting. Best makeup and hairstyling. So we have Border, Mary Queen of Scots, and Vice. I'm gonna go with Vice just because of Christian Bale and how Christian Bale was all of a sudden able to look just like Dick Cheney. I think that's gonna stand out more than anything else. So
this is the classic. Did they invent this category just for this movie this year? Category.
Right.
Because it seems like I don't remember this category from before, but I'm sure it was there. And
I think
this just makes sense.
I think Mad Max might have won this one back in 2015 because they won. They did win. They did win a bunch of Oscars.
Was that for the Doof Warrior?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, just gnarly riffs. We don't talk about the Doof Warrior enough here.
No, that's true. So, we need to bring more of that in. So
I also believe that the Vice won about 8 months ago when those stills of Christian Bale were released on Twitter.
Already won. Yep.
They announced it right there that that was the winner. This
is your
category,
winner. Yep.
So,
Does Vegas agree with this?
let's see. Vegas does agree once again. It's a pretty big favorite. Mary Queen of Scots is 7-1. Border is 16-1. I haven't seen any of those films or heard of them.
I haven't either.
So that's that.
That's that. Let's just keep moving on. So now we have Best Adapted Screenplay. So this is always kind of an interesting category because it's interesting to see what they define as adapted. But we have A Star is Born, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Black Klansman, If Beale Street Could Talk, Can You Ever Forgive Me? So this is kind of one of those, like this not as much as Best Original Screenplay, but this is also similar to, I always say Best Original Screenplay is the Oscar for the movie that could never actually win Best Picture. And Best Adapted Screenplay is kind of similar, but not quite as much. So this is a tough one because I don't really know what A Star is Born is adapted from.
This one's really close as well, as far as the Vegas odds too. There's no like overwhelming favorite either. So,
I mean, if I'm thinking the most clearly the one that seems the most clearly adapted to me would be The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. But
okay.
I feel like If Beale Street Could Talk, who might take this one, or Black Klansman.
Okay. I think I like Spike Lee here as just one of those nods to a filmmaker who has been around and definitely been part of the lexicon, but maybe hasn't been in that best of
for quite a while.
It's been a while. I also see If Beale Street Could Talk. Gosh, Barry Jenkins and basically anyone he works with is they just always win. So
yeah.
And I guess when I say always, I mean Moonlight and this, but I mean, just take a look at Marshall Ali and
right.
Tell me that guy.
Yeah.
That guy never loses anything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
So,
I don't know.
I would go between those two.
My gut says Black Klansman, honestly.
Okay. I think I like that too. This one's really close. It's pretty much even across the board with Black Klansman, Can You Forgive Me, and Beale Street. The other two are pretty long odds.
Yeah.
So
which one's the technical favorite?
Can You Forgive Me is slightly ahead of Klansman,
really?
and then Beale Street is 6-1, but still
okay
in the conversation. So
okay.
I don't know. I'm gonna stick with Spike.
Yeah.
It makes the most sense in my head, and this is where we kind of have to start doing mental gymnastics with these really weird reasons, like you said earlier with Gary Oldman. Just he wasn't his best movie, but he deserves it.
Yeah,
type deal,
right.
And that kind of feels like one of those, like we kind of do.
Yep, 100%.
So I like that. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's kind of what it comes down to, especially when it isn't a clear favorite. That's just kind of the stuff that the voters resort to in their head, and they think, well, Spike is kind of a comeback movie, and he's good for the industry, and we'll just throw him a bone here. So, I mean, I can definitely see that. I don't think they go, well, which one was technically more adapted than the other one? I mean, I don't think they're actually having that conversation. So, yeah. But that kind of brings us into the next category, which is one of my favorites, Best Original Screenplay. And like I just said a second ago, this one I kind of think of as the Best Picture winner for the movie that could never actually win Best Picture. So we have The Favorite, First Reformed, Green Book, Roma, and Vice. This one's kind of tough. I think that Roma is probably the favorite on this, but I know that you're a big fan of First Reformed, and I would kind of like that to come in, but also Green Book was kind of like hey, this is an Oscar movie this year. So if the Oscars are like, well, we should probably like throw Green Book a bone too. So that's kind of, I think it's between Roma and Green Book, but I think Roma's probably the favorite.
Okay. Yeah. Your choice of words there, with the favorite also being Roma being the favorite. So actually, if we're just going off of Vegas here, the favorite is the favorite, with Green Book and Roma being behind that. So
okay.
My darling First Reformed is quite the long shot here. So
man,
that I don't see that coming through. But again, we're not going to sit here and harp on what we think is good and what we think is bad, and how Ethan Hawke might be our best living actor right now. But nothing.
That's
or not living, working. I would say working. But again, conversations for another day. Shoot. I said the favorite's going to win a lot, and I don't know if I've picked it for really anything besides costume design. I see what you're saying about Green Book with it. It's in that Best Picture discussion, and by default, then it kind of has to be also in Best Screenplay, right?
Yeah.
That makes it really tricky. That kind of makes it where you have to, because if you think it wins Best Picture, then it almost certainly wins this category as well.
Right.
And you saw Green Book as well, which I didn't see Green Book, so I'm thinking more along the lines of what I think is going to happen, not the merits of the film itself. But I'll just go with the favorite here.
Okay.
I think, again...
Yeah, and I think if we're thinking, like, if I'm thinking along the lines of the most original screenplay, it's tough, but I don't think the Academy necessarily thinks that. But if you're thinking of the most original, I feel like Roma just kind of stands out to me, because I just feel like there hasn't really been a movie about that before, or really many stories about it. So
we could say, we should also caveat too, like, if Roma wins Best Picture, then again, it should win Best Screenplay, right?
Yeah, I mean, it should.
So that's something else to consider as well.
My gut tells me Roma for this, so we have the favorite and Roma for that one. So
all right. What is next?
So
we're getting there. We're starting to get to the.
So these
categories
are the
ones that you may remember
from
next year.
Years down the road.
You may remember in March.
Yep. So this is going to be tough, because this is where it's going to be harder to think like the Academy and to not think about who you would pick. This is when it kind of gets into the weeds. So I'm going to try and stay that line. But so this is Best Supporting Actor. 5 nominees again. We have Mahershala Ali, Adam Driver, Mahershala Ali for Green Book, Adam Driver for Black Klansman, Sam Elliott for A Star Is Born, Richard E. Grant for Can You Ever Forgive Me, and Sam Rockwell for Vice. Now, Sam Rockwell was really good as George W., but he just wasn't in it enough, I don't think, to win. If I had to pick, I would pick Adam Driver. I thought he was just so fucking good, and he's one of the best actors working right now, especially young guys. But as you said, Mahershala Ali doesn't lose, so I think that it's going to be tough to beat him. And I feel like this is, I feel like he's going to be hard to beat here again. So if I pick who I think is going to win, it's going to be Mahershala, but my heart says Adam Driver, who I want.
So you don't think there's any chance that Sam Elliott playing Sam Elliott wins here?
I really don't, believe it or not. He did a great Sam Elliott impression, don't get me wrong, but
I guess if we're going to go along that line of thought, Sam Elliott was probably better playing Sam Elliott in Roadhouse. I like that rendition of Sam Elliott playing Sam Elliott better in Roadhouse.
That's a really great point. Yep.
Again,
was that nominated for an Oscar as well?
In like the bizarro revisionist history world that only I live in.
Man, that's funny.
Roadhouse sweeps the awards.
That's so good.
As much as I don't think Sam Elliott ever won.
I don't think so.
An Academy? I don't think so either. Gosh.
But he's not like that accomplished of an actor either.
He's very what you would think of as a movie star. If you were if you're an alien and you landed here and someone's explaining to you what a movie star is, he's kind of over the course of the past 25 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's fun, but I think you're right. It's Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
Again, is he? This is where I'm conflicted too, because I haven't seen the movie, and I can't imagine that he's better than he was in Moonlight.
No, he's.
But maybe
he's
I
not.
don't know.
He was better in Moonlight, I'll say that. But he had a bigger role in Green Book, and it was definitely a meteor role, and it wasn't the same type. And I thought that he brought the character to life, and it was a great performance. It really was. It was kind of showy, but that's kind of what the movie called for. And Vigo also gave a really good performance in that as well. But it's definitely one where you see it and, he wins the Oscar for it and you think, well, yeah, like that was an Oscar winning performance. But, if it was my personal pick, I would pick Adam Driver because it felt like it was more of a real person, even though Mahershala Ali was playing a real person as well. It felt more like this is me playing an Oscar nominated, character rather than a real human, which sounds weird and it sounds like I'm dissing him, but I'm not. It's just how I feel. So I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. What do you think? What does Vegas say?
So, Vegas is heavily on the Mahershala Ali train.
Yeah, Vegas knows.
And there's a reason why those buildings are real tall and they're real shiny.
Yeah.
And this is one of those reasons. And this is why I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go 9-1 odds Sam Elliott. Here we go. This is my first moonshot of the night. You got it every once in a while. You got
really dumb idea.
You got to go for it, and hey, I like it. I just
hey.
I want to see that. I want to see that cowboy just kind of saunter up to the stage and give us. Is there anyone else that you really want to hear their speech?
Yeah, no,
I don't think I want to hear
point.
anyone else's speech more than I want to hear Sam Elliott. Like I have no idea what you talk about.
Probably
just give me some
Sam
commercial.
Elliott.
He just walks up to the stage and he just starts reprising his role. Like, God damn, that's just just shows writes itself.
That's kind of like when your boy won it for Dallas Buyers Club. I was like, that was when I was like, I really want to hear his speech. And he didn't disappoint. He just came up in character and went for it.
Yeah.
You know?
And so while we're on the topic of fixing the Oscars, because that's what everyone logs onto the internet to say how they would fix the Oscars, but one suggestion is that everyone goes up and just Joe Pesci's their speech and just
the greatest of all time, greatest of all time. Thank you, appreciate it.
If you haven't, just it's not very long.
No. It's about 4
it
seconds,
takes him longer
6
to walk
seconds.
up to the stage than anything else. And
I mean, I think it's honestly all he says is thank you, appreciate it, and that was it.
His head nod is longer.
Oh man,
he's
it's
truly
so good.
he's physically acting like just his little curt smile and that just thank you, and it looks like he's like, is that it? Is that it? No.
Yep.
That's it. That's it. It's a shame he didn't win like 11 more Oscars. But,
I know.
So yeah, I just want to point out too, Richard E. Grant, Can You Ever Forgive Me? That is second behind Mahershala at 7-1.
Okay.
So just so we know, there. Okay. What do we got next?
So the next category is Best Supporting Actress, and we have Amy Adams in Vice, Marina de Tavira in Roma, Regina King in If Beale Street Could Talk, Emma Stone in The Favorite, and Rachel Weisz in The Favorite. For me, I think Emma Stone might be the Mahershala Ali of actresses. So I think that she's kind of an Academy favorite. I haven't seen The Favorite, but I mean, if I was picking one, I would pick Marina from Roma. But you know, I feel like Emma Stone is the favorite here.
Okay, so this is one of those things too. I did see The Favorite, and having seen it, I put a little bit more weight behind Rachel Weisz's performance. It was a bit more beefy. There was a little bit more to it.
Okay.
And so if I had to pick between those two, and it's weird, I think this is, again, I hate to do this 2 categories in a row, but how do you fix the Oscars? Like, God, it would be so... I don't understand why they can't just show us the votes.
Yeah.
Because this feels like one of those deals where, like you have 2 guys on the same team and they just kind of cannibalize their vote for MVP.
Yeah.
You know, where each of them gets like kind of splits a vote, and then therefore neither of them win.
Like the Rams this year had Todd Gurley, Jared Goff, and Aaron Donald. Yeah. Yeah,
so it's one of those weird things where I can't see either of them winning, but I would say that Rachel Weisz's performance was a bit better, just because it was just a touch more nuanced.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit more meat to it. I didn't, again, just to look here, neither of us saw If Beale Street Could Talk. I really want to see it now, especially if it's gotten that much buzz for the soundtrack. I don't know why that's. I really.
I thought you were gonna say for sound mixing, and I was about to lose my mind.
What did we just talk about?
Oh man. What is who's Vegas pegging on this?
Vegas is on Regina King for if Beale Street could talk. Again, we keep coming back to the Barry Jenkins thing, man.
I think that they probably know that Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz are going to eat each other's votes, like you said. So then it's like, that brings up a good point.
God, wouldn't it be I don't understand, too, and they want to make this entertaining product where... It would be really, especially with these couple categories coming up, the big ones, the best picture, the, best director, just being able to see that third place vote getter, the kind of Ralph Nader that eats up 8 votes, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, and that ends up swinging the whole thing.
But then you get like the people who didn't get any votes at all.
And that's probably why we don't have that.
Yep,
because
exactly.
These assholes that
tough. Yeah.
Scared to put their neck out there. Come on.
So I'm going Emma Stone. Are you still going Rachel Weisz, or are you going?
I'll
Regina
go Rachel
King?
Weisz.
Okay.
I'll go Rachel Weisz. I haven't seen If Beale Street Could Talk, so I don't just want to hammer the favorite there. It's not like we are actually betting on each one of these, even though I will be allocating a little bit of capital.
Okay.
But you got to pick and choose.
Yeah.
So let's just go with it here. So
okay. So
supporting. All right.
Okay.
And you can just go ahead there.
Okay. We'll edit that out too. So next we have another big category: Best Actor. Christian Bale, Vice. Bradley Cooper, A Star Is Born. Willem Dafoe, At Eternity's Gate. Rami Malek, Bohemian Rhapsody. Viggo Mortensen, Green Book. I feel like this is between Bradley Cooper and Christian Bale. I think that I honestly would like to see Bradley Cooper win it for A Star Is Born, but knowing the Academy, I think it's between Rami Malek and Christian Bale, and I don't know, but I feel like, man, it's tough. I could really see Rami Malek winning, but part of me just wants to go with Christian Bale, so it's like, who do I really think is going to win? Honestly, man, this is really, really hard. Can
I make this easier for you and just say that Willem Dafoe at Eternity's Gate is the favorite here?
No, that's not true.
Did you believe it even for a second?
No, I did not.
It's Willem Dafoe.
You go first on this one.
Playing because you've seen At Eternity's Gate, right?
No.
Well, there you go. It's actually he's playing Freddie Mercury, and he's knocking on heaven's door, and it's this thing where I don't know, is he gonna get in? Does he want to get into heaven? It's fucking Freddie Mercury, man. It's really, really powerful, and it even works. They didn't have the rights to any of Freddie Mercury's music, and somehow they still pulled it off, and wow, I was really blown away. And apparently so was the Academy as well.
I'd really like to just apologize to all the loyal listeners who had to sit through that 30-second spiel.
I haven't seen that movie. I really want to, though. Okay, so this is where that caveat comes in, where I haven't seen Bohemian Rhapsody, and I know all of the controversy surrounding it with shooting of it and the was this a good movie? And so I don't want to rag on something that I haven't seen. I think it's really, really fascinating, though, the conversation we're having between, so Christian Bale being one of the most iconic actors of the past 10 to 15 years, truly, truly wearing different faces, different body types. He really does live it.
He does.
The classical method actor who's difficult and overly serious about almost everything that he's ever involved in, including Terminator Salvation, which low-key kind of underrated. And then Rami Malek. Has there ever been an actor, a best actor, best actress who's been nominated without ever really having another leading role? Am I wrong? Is there? What's
I don't
the other
know.
Rami Malek movie?
Yeah,
he's Mr. Robot.
He was in Night of the Museum as the Pharaoh.
Okay,
all those movies.
I believe that was I believe that doesn't necessarily qualify as a leading role, but because of a Ben Stiller led vessel. But
no.
Am I right here? Is this?
I mean, I don't.
Is this a vote for Rami Malek, or is this a vote for Freddie Mercury? I think that's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, I mean, if we're going down that road, I mean, I haven't seen it either, but I just know the Academy works. So, I mean, I think I'm gonna pick Christian Bale, but I think that I don't know, but it's so close. This is the toughest one for me. It's really right between the two. So I just think that they're both playing real people that we know, so the Academy likes that. So it's going to be tough. Man, this is really hard, but I think I'm going to go Christian Bale, even though every time I say that, I say, well, actually I think it might be Rami Malek. But if I said it's going to be Rami Malek, then Christian Bale. But do you think last year Gary Oldman won it playing a fatter old white politician, and then Christian Bale once again for playing a fatter old white politician the next year? Like, that's kind of tough too. So then do they go back to Rami, something different? So maybe that might push me over the edge. Maybe I will go Rami Malek this year. I don't know, man. Fuck.
Well, that made no sense, so thank you.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me either, man, and I was the one thinking it.
Here's a hypothetical. Do you think at any point during this process Bradley Cooper feels regret that he didn't just play Freddie Mercury instead?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe every morning he wakes up.
Because I don't think this is even a conversation if this was Bradley Cooper who had played Freddie Mercury, right?
I mean,
this is just like,
I can't even picture that, man. But yeah, if he played it.
I don't think this is a conversation if it's any other established actor playing Freddie Mercury. Wasn't the rumor is that Sacha Baron Cohen was supposed to lead this project?
Yeah, like he...
for
years he was... It wasn't just a rumor, he was working on it for years.
Yeah,
because he couldn't... Because he wanted to do... Right, because he wanted to do a grittier, darker, real take on the character, and Freddie Mercury's family and the people who owned his estate didn't want that to happen, so there's a lot of back and forth where... So that's what I always think of, because I think Sacha Baron Cohen would have made a really weird, darker...
It's incredibly interesting, yeah.
It is, yeah.
I'm really interested to see that film. Is there any realm of possibility in this this universe or any interstellar alternate universes where Sacha Baron Cohen is nominated and the clear frontrunner for Best Actor playing Freddie Mercury.
I mean, maybe, but...
You think maybe?
I think maybe.
I think there's a... I think the Academy would rather burn down than have Sacha Baron Cohen win Best Actor for Freddie Mercury. That's why I think that it's a vote for just the individual who is being depicted as the biopic. Because again, I don't know. I think it's really fascinating. Just because I've never seen something like this where again, Rami Malek, not to say that he's bad or that he was bad in the role or that he's bad as an actor, but just to never have had a leading role and then this and now Best Actor.
Yeah.
Is that where we're at? Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. So who's your pick, man? Who do you got?
I think I'm going to keep it simple here. I'm going Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
And this is fairly close. Mercury is slightly over Christian Bale. So you're right as far as just what Vegas thinks. Poor Bradley Cooper, who's just wishing.
Yeah.
He's really wishing he just dyed his hair black and just like, it's like I could have easily done that. I pretty much did the same goddamn thing. Like,
I don't know if can he do a British accent? We've never seen him do a British accent.
I mean, can Liam Hemsworth do an American accent?
No.
In Black Hat?
It was Chris Hemsworth. And
we need to do a rundown of our worst accents of all time.
Yeah, that would be
Chris
a fun
Hemsworth
show.
Didn't just play an Australian.
I hate to tell you that.
International hacker.
Yeah, I hate to tell you that Keanu Reeves might be towards the top of that list.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare! Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Rami Malek too. I just feel like
Okay.
I'm pretty wishy-washy, but I just feel like that's inevitable and it's gonna happen. So.
All right. Rami Malek it is.
Okay, so now
only a couple left here, right?
Yep, just a few. So we have Best Actress, Yalitza Aparicio for Roma, Glenn Close, The Wife, Olivia Colman, The Favorite, Lady Gaga, A Star Is Born, Melissa McCarthy, Can You Ever Forgive Me?
So,
I don't know,
this is an incredibly interesting category because so I'll just straight up right off the bat, Glenn Close is minus 550 to win this.
Wow.
And I just wanna ask you is she better in The Wife than she was in Fatal Attraction?
Haven't seen it. And haven't seen it, actually.
What? You haven't seen Fatal Attraction?
True story, guys. That's a blind spot that I have.
Fatal Attraction is a banger. And it should be seen by all of the youth.
Okay.
That film holds up. I think it holds up.
I just can't help but look at this list and think anything other than where the fuck is Toni Collette, man? Like, none of these even come close to her. Honestly, like, even, I mean, not just coming from, from what we think, but just from a merely objective standpoint, which is hard to say for obviously art and it's all subjective, but I'm just like, Toni Collette is just laps around all these, I think. And she's not even here, man.
Yeah. So, of this list, I think that I think that I liked Yalitza Aparicio. I'm gonna go with that. Aparicio. Yeah, let's go with that. Her performance best. The Olivia Colman performance again. I liked Rachel Weisz's better as a performance as a supporting role there, and I think it's really, if you're just kind of you're really splitting hairs with who led that movie, because the movie doesn't really work without. You could even throw Emma Stone in there. Without any three of those three, the movie just doesn't really work. So it's really tough to say that Olivia Colman was the outright lead of the film. And again, I miss Glenn Close in The Wife, but I saw her in Fatal Attraction, and I think that's as good as it's getting. So.
I mean, I could see the Academy doing the popular thing of just saying, well, it's very popular right now that Lady Gaga got nominated for this, so fuck it, we'll give her the win. I don't really think that's gonna happen, but it could be. This sort of reminds me of Courtney Love in The People vs. Larry Flint, and I'm pretty sure she got nominated for that movie, and the performance is just her being Courtney Love. It's not that good. That movie does not hold up.
The Sam Elliott Award for the best actor playing themselves?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you're just like, wait a minute, what? This isn't... there's whatever. So I don't know. I feel like
also how dare you? She's playing Allie, world renowned,
right? My fault.
Superstar Allie. So I'd like you to please take that back. I get that. And God, but wouldn't that just be the best if Gaga gets up there and just starts playing poker face?
Oh man. Wow. Yeah.
That's what everyone wants, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
I want.
Everyone in the building.
Yeah, why not? I don't really have an opinion. I like Yalitza's performance, but like I said, I haven't seen Glenn Close, but fuck it, I'll jump on board with you.
What was my pick again?
Glenn Close.
Am I picking Glenn Close?
Yeah, that's what you said.
Vegas is picking. Yeah, so... Alright.
I mean, I've seen 101 Dalmatians, and she was terrifying in that, so...
Yeah, you're right. It's between that and Fatal Attraction. No, it's definitely Fatal Attraction.
Okay. So now...
Glenn Close it is.
Glenn Close. Okay. So now we have Best Director.
2 left, right? Director,
2
picture?
left. Yeah.
All right.
So Best...
And these are interesting. I think these were the ones I kind of spent the most time with, and I don't really know. So this will be...
Yeah. So we have...
Maybe less so with director, but...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We have Alfonso Cuarón for Roma, Yorgos Lanthimos for The Favorite, Spike Lee for Black Klansman, Adam McKay for Vice, Powell Palakowski for Cold War. This is tough. I'd like to see... I think Alfonso's probably the favorite, but I feel like Adam McKay is kind of close in there too. So, I don't know. I need some more time to think about it. You go.
So, I'm with you here. Alfonso Cuarón is who I thought would be the winner of this after I saw Roma. There was just some things in that film that I was kind of awestruck by, and the only real gripe I had with the film is that I wasn't able to see it in theaters, and that it was just a straight to Netflix, which was odd and different. But again, I'm glad that I was able to see it. Yorgos Lanthimos, The Favorite, we've mentioned it about 100 times here. It's not his best film, and even though it's probably going to win a couple awards here, I don't think I always try to just go, is this your best film? Is it not your best film? Like, especially once we start getting up into the big categories here. So I try to just kind of go through that with each one of these. Spike Lee, Black Klansman, is it his best film? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
McKay, is Vice his best film?
You know, it's tough. It's definitely between this and The Big Short. And I think The Big Short took more chances, I guess, and kind of was able to do more things. But I think this is kind of a tighter overall film. So it's a little bit pick your poison. It's definitely up for debate. And I think Alfonso Cuarón, in my mind, no doubt, this is maybe his best movie. And I'm not the biggest fan of it, but...
Yeah, I agree. I think this is his best film. It's his most... I think just him being... Just the story behind it, with the film really being a love letter to his childhood and how he was raised, and him... I think he's said that he's just one of the kids in it, and that he doesn't know where he would be without this support system of the women who brought him up. And it just seems like one of those things where,
like, this was his Lady
one
Bird.
or two films that a director can do that are this personally affecting and this really good. So I think this one's going to be Roma, and I think it's his best film, and I like that to be my barometer when I look at these, and especially when I look back, and because these things kind of change over time, and you don't want to look back and be like, oh shit, like what were we thinking?
Right.
So
unanimous pick there for Roma.
That one's Roma. Vegas agrees as well.
Yeah, I kind of figured. So now we have the granddaddy of them all, Best Picture. And we have 8 nominees this year, even though they can do a total of 10, and I hate when they only do 8. It's just kind of annoying. Like, just put 10 up there, but whatever. So we have, and the nominees are Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Roma, Green Book, A Star is Born, and Vice. So this one's kind of tough, but I just feel like, man. For some reason, I feel like A Star is Born has a pretty good shot at winning Best Picture. But I also feel like Roma has a good shot, and I'm not sure about... I think, honestly, all these have a pretty good shot. Does the Green Book win? I don't know. My gut tells me it's going to be... Man, I don't know. A Star is Born feels like it's got a good shot at this, honestly, but I think... Unfortunately, I think it's going to be Bohemian Rhapsody or The Favorite.
As your winners?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe. So, I don't know. I'm still thinking about it.
Okay. Because I was trying to just go through and think about which films I thought couldn't win. I don't think The Favorite can win. I don't think Vice can win, and I don't really think Black Klansman can win either. So that leaves us with Black Panther, which I can't 100% rule out, even though I think it's maybe the longest shot. of the ones I think that can maybe win. A Star is Born, Bohemian Rhapsody, Green Book, and Roma. I don't know. Do you think the favorite can win? I saw the movie. I don't think it.
I didn't see it, so I guess okay. I don't really know. I mean, Green Book. I think Green Book is your classic Oscar movie, so I could see it winning Best Picture, but at the same time, it's not. It doesn't have like the gravitas of Roma, and A Star is Born is the most Hollywood of all of these. So, God, I don't know, man. I don't know. Does Black Panther have a shot of winning? I don't really think so. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning toward either A Star. I think I'm leaning toward A Star is Born. But then I think of it and it's like, well, as a whole movie, it didn't quite work on all the levels that I would have liked it to. And
if you were to ask me in September, I would have bet my life on it that A Star is Born wins.
Yeah.
And that's not even close.
Right.
I don't really know what happened.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I don't really know either, but I don't know. I would love to see Vice win. I think that's probably my favorite of all these, and it probably is the most complete movie top to bottom, but I know it's not going to win. So I don't know. I think A Star is Born is going to win. I think it's going to do it.
Okay. So that leaves me then. Here's what I think. I think that it's probably between Roma, Green Book, Bohemian, and Black Panther. My gut is telling me Roma, but my senses of what's a good, bad, Best Picture. I can't even say that since I haven't really seen the movie, but just like Green Book feels like kind of one of those forgettable Best Picture wins, right?
Yeah, totally.
Bohemian Rhapsody may be too much of like a meme.
Yeah.
Shoot. I don't know.
It's tough.
This one's tricky. I don't know if we've had like a closer race.
Yeah.
This one's really, really close.
Well, let's see. Because I feel like,
I
feel like Roma is probably like the best movie out of all these, and it's at least artistically speaking. So. But does that win Best Picture? Does the Academy vote that as the Best Picture of the year? I don't know. It's tough.
Right. It's pretty crazy considering the fact that all of these films are pretty huge commercial successes.
Yeah.
Other than Roma.
Right.
Which is... Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It's weird where we're at a point where A Star is Born and Bohemian Rhapsody are, as well as Black Panther as well. Like, these are like huge movies that a ton of people saw and were super successful. So just the fact that they're nominated is kind of something to...
It's kind of interesting, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Green Book. Roma is the Vegas odds leader right now.
Wow.
It's not by much. It's minus 250. Green Book is right behind it at even money. And Bohemian Rhapsody is a little farther off at 10-1. A Star is Born is actually at 30-1.
Damn.
30-1, Black Klansman 30-1, Black Panther 30-1, and then Vice is 50-1. So, So yeah, it's basically a 3-horse race right now. The favorite is 18-1, so that's kind of long shot as well.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Yeah, well, I'll stick with A Star Is Born.
Okay.
Yeah, I could definitely see Green Book winning for sure.
I don't know. Doesn't it just feel like it hits enough notes of enough people saw it, enough people are in it. Yep. There's faces that you can attach to it.
Yep.
There's controversy that there's enough for people to write and be angry about, and it seems like one of those really classical backlash to the backlash stories where there's backlash and now there's too much backlash and you guys need to back off. You're that one of those kind of things, maybe like a free billboards type situation.
Yeah.
So
could be.
I don't know.
Well, I'm excited to see how well we did come next week. So I don't know. The Oscars, like we said, it's something that we watch every year, but it's not necessarily something that we go out of our way to get super excited about. But all you can hope for is that they get it right. Sometimes they do. More often than not, they don't, and they really don't think about what's going to really hold up in the next few years, which is fine because it is just a time capsule of the year that we were in. So it's almost a little bit closed-minded thinking, but that will do it for this episode. Definitely check us out next week, like we said, where we'll go over the winners and kind of our thoughts overall. But you can find me on Twitter at LukeLarson89, this podcast at L Squared Podcast on Twitter. It's at L2 Podcast on Facebook. Check us out on SoundCloud and YouTube. And yeah, there we go.
Go gamble on the Oscars.
Go gamble. Put all your money down.
It makes it a lot more fun when you're watching musical performances from Queen featuring not Freddie Mercury and probably Bruno Mars.
Right. You know what? That's a pretty good call. There's an idea to make it better.
Let's get more musical performances.
Perfect. More commercials, more musical performances.
Yes. I couldn't. Sounds great, man.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you there, loyal listeners. Peace.
Peace.